April 2018 is here. We have the Aries cycle, full moon in Libra. Mercury leaves retrograde and goes direct. The month starts off with a lot of stress, pressure, and tension, and some very auspicious days in the middle of the month, so check it out. So this is the forecast for April 2018. I'm going to go through a sort of forecast that I wrote up. We're going to go over this, some of the highlights for April 2018. So first, April 1st and 2nd, the moon is with retrograde Jupiter in Libra. And so some big emotions and big feelings on these couple of days. We can see because Jupiter is in Libra, helping us to grow and expand in our relationships and our capacity to compromise. But again, but Jupiter is often where compromise with others because of, just wanting to get along and, enjoy life is a little bit difficult because Jupiter is about our big, hopes and purpose and religion and whatnot and beliefs, right? So Jupiter in excuse me. So Jupiter in Libra is actually where we are sort of trying to rise above all of the personal distractions of life and connect with something bigger. So there's a bit of a conflict. So we're reflecting on these things with Jupiter retrograde, reflecting on our teachers, reflecting on the people that have been in our life that we've been compromising with. So the moon joining this makes it a very sort of emotional, psychological process. It sort of enters our mind and our consciousness, and it sort of dominates our mind, consciousness, and awareness for a couple of days. That's what you see with the moon. When it joins a planet in the sky, it sort of joins our awareness with it. But when you look up in the sky on April 1st and 2nd, you'll see a big, bright moon there joined Jupiter. So it'll be nice to look at anyway. Now, and then April 3rd and 4th, the moon actually goes through Scorpio, 3rd and 4th, sort of around the end of the 4th and into the 5th. It goes into Sagittarius through the 7th. Again, so even after the 1st and 2nd, 3rd, 4th, into the 5th, the moon is debilitated in Scorpio, which of course shows intense emotions and potential power struggles, emotional conflicts with others. So again, April is starting off with quite a bit of, potential triggering around your relationships and whatnot. Joined retrograde Jupiter in Libra, 1st and 2nd, then 3rd, 4th, and into the 5th. The moon is in Scorpio. And then from the frying pan into the fire, 6th and 7th, 5th, through the 6th and 7th, we see the moon is in Sagittarius, joined Mars and Saturn. So again, a lot of sort of, passion and intensity here to really connect with inspirations and purposes and principles and fight to protect what we want to strive for, and maybe get into struggles and conflicts with other people and whatnot. And I also have here April 1st through the 5th. It could be quite dangerous because Mars and Saturn are really closing in on an exact conjunction during that time. If we step back, we can see that Mars-Saturn conjunction are exact here, April 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, as the moon is joining all of this. So a lot of intensity and drama, and especially with so many explosive, potentials in the world right now. Early April, end of March, early April can be, fraught with danger in the world. We might see a sudden, even sort of military operation, or something unexpected. Again, I know that's a very general, statement because these things happen a lot, but there could certainly be an explosive event if not in the world, certainly in your life, with the moon going through Sagittarius, and also, joined Mars and Saturn in Sagittarius. Of course, Sagittarius is the sign of our higher principles and ideals. We have Mars and Saturn there now, where we're sort of doing battle over those things that inspire us, and perhaps with the people who are taking us away from it, and the ones who are not supporting our higher vision and purpose. There's been quite a lot of wrangling over, like in the U.S., over guns and what to do about them, and a lot of potential conflict and social conflict around many of these issues, especially as it relates to not just guns, but also how we treat certain people like immigrants or minorities. There's been recent explosive chaos again around the verdict, the justice system, and its verdict toward the way, I forgot the black man's name who was killed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, by the police officers. He was just found innocent. Another explosiveness in Sacramento, California. There's a lot of these social issues, especially as they relate to the justice system, and these marches and youngsters and guns socially. And we can see these things in our personal life as well, perhaps coming to a head in early April, as the moon passes through this section with Jupiter retrograde in Libra, then debilitated in Scorpio, then join Mars and Saturn in Sagittarius, especially as Mars and Saturn close this gap and become exactly conjoined. And then we see the moon go through, goes into Capricorn and joins Ketu, which is the previous eclipse point, where we had the eclipses a couple months ago. And then it, again, this can show some revisiting of themes related to the eclipse in your life, wherever the sign of Capricorn is. You may see those themes revisited, and of course, Moon Ketu can show some sort of revisiting of themes in your life, especially from early childhood or from things that are hidden and buried in your mind. So that transit on April 9th and 10th of the moon through Capricorn can be a time to really, be introspective and, of course, go into deeper stillness and solitude. Sometimes it's hard, though, with Capricorn energy. Then the moon goes through Aquarius, more about, connecting to larger social themes and whatnot on April 12th and 13th, April 11th and 12th. Then 13, 14, moon goes through Pisces, join retrograde Mercury, which is about connecting to a larger sort of metaphysical sort of structure, which can be done all kinds of ways. It could be escapism, it could be, drugs and alcohol kind of escapism, it could be romantic fantasizing, it could be, watching a lot of TV, it could be acting very, in a very creative way, where you really connect with something beyond through, again, meditation and stillness, creativity, music, more holistic things. But join Mercury retrograde, you want to be careful April 13th and 14th, especially because we can get the story confused. You could be misspeaking, you could be misunderstanding people on April 13 and 14. Then April 15, we have the new moon in Aries, and the sun is changing signs, moving into Aries April 15th, and this will begin a 30-day cycle of courage, exploration, personal dynamism, which is the nature of Aries, getting really authentic about who you are as an individual, not depending on others, of course, but it can be at the exclusion of others. It can be very militant sort of individualism that you need to be careful of. But again, it's time to live a sort of unbound and courageous life. The glory of you as an individual can be featured for the next 30 days. We're coming out of the Pisces cycle where we're connecting to that which is beyond. Then we land in the Aries cycle of, now here I am in a new cycle, in a new incarnation, That's what the Aries principle is about. New beginnings, new birth, and coming out with passion. So this could be a great month starting April 15th. But, you know, certain things help to balance that individuality with others. Most of it has to do with patience and not letting the negative qualities of Mars run the day. And that new moon is in Ashwini Nakshatra, which has to do with the twin horses that are running forward. You know, the first nakshatra is about all of this speed and velocity moving forward and into the world. And again, of course, it's in Aries. I know there are still some, you know, there are some astrologers that they always do nakshatra readings. Of course, they never mention the Rashis because then they'll get a lot of hate mail. Sorry, but it's true. Ashwini is in the Rashi of Aries, always has been, clearly stated in all the texts. The zodiac is sidereal, always has been. No debate about this, even though a couple people say that. There's really no reason to pay attention to that. It's very clear, especially in nakshatras like Ashwini, two horses running, you know, galloping with all this fierce energy. No question about it. So this is in Aries. And it shows where, again, we are trying to yoke and join that energy of moving forward. Rather than having two horses running in different ways, scattering our energy, we want to move forward very quickly. And once we're connected to the hidden powers of life and the prana, then that's exactly what happens. But when our prana and our energy is scattered and dispersed, then we're sort of running all over the place and not moving forward. So that's what you want to really focus on the next 30 days in the Aries cycle. And it starts today, and the beginning of these cycles are very important. Then, you know, we also have Mercury turning direct here on April 15th. So instead of being retrograde, now Mercury starts to move forward again. In Pisces, he's been retrograde. So hopefully the reflective time of Mercury in Pisces helped you reflect on details, how you communicate, how you speak, what you know, how you may be feeling unrealistic and that life isn't fair and that, you know, just not getting the story straight or getting the story clear. Now Mercury's moving forward and you can be more creative with that kind of energy starting today. The moon has also joined this Venus in Aries on this new moon, so it can certainly show a bringing together of the polarities, where again Aries is very forceful because it's Mars, but Venus is the harmonizing principle. So it's certainly not uncommon to have Venus join any new moon, but it's important. So you may find where that reflection of other people for this next 30 days really helps you to integrate and organize and stay connected to the higher goal of Aries, which is to connect your passions with the world, with others, not at the exclusion of others. Not, you know, so that you can, you know, necessarily win. That's the problem with anything having to do with Mars, is this need to win all the time. Instead, we want to share and connect things in a harmonious way. So April 18th and 19th, I should say this last thing, we also have to be aware of conflicts and battles and struggles starting April 15th for the next 30 days. So April 19th, both the sun and moon are exalted, and this is an important day called Akshaya Tritiya. The third lunar day, when the sun is in Aries, is called Akshaya Tritiya because you have both the sun in his exalted sign and the moon in her exalted sign. And on the third lunar day, with the exalted sun and the exalted moon, it's called Akshaya Tritiya. Tritiya is the lunar day. This is one of the most auspicious days of the entire year for creating something new, for bringing out starting a new business or some new enterprise, or if it's not a new enterprise, just something that you want that's auspicious. You know, like it would be something where maybe I would bring out a new course or I would announce something or whatever it is. Very auspicious day, April 18th. Akshaya Tritiya. Again, it's good to maybe make business investments or anything that certainly has to do with long-term growth and power. It's a very good day for that, and that could be in many different areas. But of course, it's also exalted planets are planets of spiritual awareness. There's a lot of awareness and intelligence and wisdom functioning at that time. So very auspicious day, April 18th. Then April 20th through the 21st, the moon moves into Gemini, where it's aspected by this Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter. Triple aspect on Gemini right now, with Mars and Saturn casting the 7th house aspect and Jupiter casting the 9th house aspect. So those qualities of Gemini will be very supported April 20th and 21st. Again, that has to do with creativity, communication, and again, this could be things like upgrading computers, and again, if you're a teacher or a speaker or a writer or something that you want to get out and communicate, it's an excellent day to do it. I'm sorry, these 2 days are excellent days to do it. Again, you have the grace of Jupiter, bringing his trinal aspect especially. The other two aspects from Mars and Saturn are shared aspects. They're mutual aspects. And the aspect from Jupiter is a one-way graceful aspect. So again, Jupiter gives the benefit of inspiring people. That means you can inspire people and others inspire you. And Saturn and Mars give the benefit of determination and effort and destroying what's making us weak. But again, you also have to be careful of that cruel aspect, because you might get into battles and struggles with others. That's often what the 7th house aspect shows. And April 29th, sort of fast forward a little bit, I'll stop along the way to say that April 22nd and 23rd, the moon will be in Cancer joined Rahu. Again, it's passing through that eclipse point again. You may revisit some themes of the recent eclipse that was in Cancer, that end of the eclipse, which, for example, if you're an Aries person, that's the 4th house. If you're, Libra, that's the 10th house. If you're Gemini, it's the 2nd house. So those things could get a little wild and confusing maybe today with, on April 22nd and 23rd as the moon passes through the nodal axis. And then on the 24th and 25th, moon passes through Leo. Again, fiery, passionate nature on those days. You want to, follow your inspirations, but be careful about being isolated and separated. And then on the 26th and 27th, the moon goes through, and into the 28th, the moon goes through Virgo, which is about practical details, organizing and structuring your life. And again, it's a good day for, these are, good days for cleaning and arranging things, organizing things. And then on the 29th and 30th, we start back with that moon in Libra, join retrograde Jupiter again, sort of where we started the month. And again, now that we're in Aries month, it's very important because we're getting a full moon here. Also on April 29th, we now have the full moon in Libra, and it's showing that harmonizing point opposite Aries. Again, now we're going to get the full psychological awareness of what all of this Aries energy means. And this is how the new moons and full moons operate. And we have a extreme on one end first, which was the extreme of Aries, sun and moon both there. Then we have the opposite and the balance and the harmonizing on the full moon, where we actually have to integrate that principle, not just spiritually, but psychologically and emotionally on the full moon. And of course, we have to embody it. So at this point, it's a full moon in Swati, I believe. Yeah, Swati, because it's about 16. And that's related to the god Vayu, the god of the wind. Again, this is very much about service. It's also about prana and breath. So again, being of service, not just to other people. Service sounds it sounds so unempowering and like servile, of servitude. No, it's actually, we're always in service of something. But what are you serving? Are you serving your ego? Are you serving the glory, again, of being right and just maintaining your outer, your outer existence? Or are you serving something higher? right? And really, service is something that we're willing to sacrifice for. Again, these are, just like if we're willing to sacrifice for our partners or sacrifice being right once in a while for our relationships, then the relationship benefits. But again, if every time we sacrifice, we feel like we're being treated like a servant, which maybe you are, I don't know. But these are the issues that we have to look at when it comes to Libra, and especially the nakshatra of Swati. Where are we getting our power from? Do we feel like a servant, or are we being of service? And to what? So these will be big issues on this full moon, April 29th and April 30th. The moon will be in those signs, and then we start early May back in the Scorpio world. So again, the beginning of the month, the first week or so from about the 7th, April 1st to the 7th, we have that difficult transit that I talked about, where we start off here with the moon joined retrograde Jupiter in Libra for a couple days. Then the moon is debilitated in Scorpio on the 3rd and the 4th and into the 5th. Then 6th and 7th, the moon is mainly in Sagittarius with Saturn and Mars. So it's a pretty harsh way to start the month. But then, as I say, around the middle of the month especially, 16, 17, 18, we get, some nice transits, with the new moon in Aries, a new beginning. Then we have the nice exalted moon through Taurus and Akshaya Tritiya. We have some favorable aspects when the moon gets up here, aspect from Jupiter, and some real, power to get some things done. So, again, if you want to get these daily forecasts, if you want to get a forecast every day of the month, as well as specialized forecasts on the new moons and full moons, because they're different for each of the 12 signs, then you can be a member of my astrology training lab. You also get 8 hours of free classes and all that stuff. So it's a great deal. You can check it out, only 50 cents. And then if you want to stay a member, you can do that as well. So anyway, hope you have a great month. Share this with others if it was helpful. And subscribe to my YouTube channel or other things like that. And stay in touch.